Okay. All right. And that goes. I'm going to ask the pastor for a special prayer for Judge Holmes, just in case her Baptist Bible is rolling a little different, because I don't know. I don't know. I need an expert to say. Sometimes people say what's in the Bible, it don't really be in the Bible, so I don't know. We want to thank everyone for coming. Let's get started. We will open up as we always do in the NAACP, certainly with a word of prayer. We want to certainly welcome and thank the shepherd of this house, Pastor Trey, for opening its doors to the NAACP. It is something that has always happened in this house. As many of you all know, this is our very first meeting of our branch was held in this church on August 29th, 1945. This very church. Okay? And so we've come home yet again to help on this mission of educating our community and helping to save democracy. Pastor Trey.
Thank you, President Ellison, and we thank you for all coming to this wonderful occasion. This is probably the third one we've had during this election season, and I just want everyone here to know, as well as President Ellison, feel at home here at Mount Hermon. Now, of course, our history as being the origin and the first meeting place in a very tough time where NAACP chapters were being threatened with mortal violence. But there's still a lot of future to be made as well, a lot of history to be made as well. And so a part of the history of Broward County, we want to be a part of that as a place that we call home and a place in the future where we have more discussions like this. So let's put our hands together for this meeting and for these candidates who will put their platforms on display tonight. Now, because this church has such a young, vibrant, some would even say handsome pastor, we want you to know, I just had to get that. I just used that as an opportunity to say that. But no, we want you to know that we are very intentional about having our needs met so that this next generation will benefit from the discussions that we have tonight. In order for that to happen, we have to ask the Lord for his guidance. So let's all bow our heads in this moment. Father God, we thank you for nothing more, just to say thank you for waking us up this morning and giving us a reasonable portion of our health and our strength. While we're here tonight, our ears are yearning to learn what the plan is for the people who reside in this county, in this city. And God, we ask that you will give a spirit of revelation tonight so that we will not move with just what we hear on the internet, but what we know and what we've learned through our intellect. God, provide us with a plan, provide us with revelation, provide us with courage to make the right choices in this season. God, be here with us. God, bless us all and cover us. In your precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. We know that there was power in unity. And in doing so, we invite other organizations, churches, and such to partner with us as we move along. Tonight, as usual, we have partners here. We have Phi Beta Sigma, Mark Johnson is as always, and his lovely wife, and a member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, always here with us. Of course, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and I see Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated here. I don't see Alphas, but I do. I'm gonna get there. Just hold on. I see the Q's, at least one on here. Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, and certainly Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. Oh, there's two. There's two. One over there. Okay, I see the O's. I see the O's. And so we are going to just know that when you're talking to us, and there are, I think, Order of Eastern Star also here as well. Masons here as well. So when we talk about people in our community and our base, just know that we are talking about a wide group of individuals. And let me just tell you, people have been calling our office, texting our office, saying, I don't know these people. Who am I voting for? And I owe somebody a call, I think this evening, but she's been waiting. And you know, it's not a good thing when people don't know. And so we ask that when you decide or you think you might want to run, and I love New Mount Olive, Doc, but there's a whole nother world outside New Mount Olive Baptist Church. So you've got to go and meet the people where they are so they'll know who you are and what you stand for. So they won't have to say, somebody tell me who y'all voting for, or leave it blank, because we encourage everybody to vote down ballot. So there's certainly a lack of information, and there's still time to get the information to our folks. So we ask you to just meet them where they are, and don't think that because they're under the tree that they are not eligible and active voter. If you are on Sistrunk Quarter, there are plenty of veterans there who are just hanging out because there's not places for them to go in this community necessarily, but they are voters. And so we ask that you consider that certainly when you come to our community. I want to, first of all, I think the Vice President of Zeta Rho is here. Okay. If you will come and say a few words.
Thank you. Thank you all. I bring you greetings from Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Zeta Rho Omega Chapter. I am Dorinda Washington, the second Vice President. I bring you greetings on behalf of our President, Mrs. Nikki Austin Shipp, who couldn't be here this evening. We are so incredibly proud and thankful to be here this evening. I'm pretty sure we're going to get a wealth of knowledge so that we can make educated decisions. Alpha Kappa Alpha has been, I want to say boots on the ground, I say heels on the ground, for 116 years, since 1908. This has been extremely important to us, political equality. We've been in the community, educating our community, getting them active and igniting their passion for voting. So we are proud to be here, and thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for having this forum.
And I failed to mention the Negro Chamber of Commerce, our first Vice President, and also President of Negro Chamber, Ms. Sonia Burrows. So thank you, Sonia. So we're going to start with District 98, House of Representatives, District 98. I believe I saw Mr. Abel and Ms. Rodriguez. Let me just say that all candidates were invited. I even made some, just come ahead and have a seat, please. If you did not open the email or if it bounced back, we even made phone calls so that you would know that you had an opportunity to participate. If the decision was not to come and ask for our vote, then it is what it is. Okay. So we are going to start with a 2-minute opening. Tell us anything you think we need to know about you. Ladies first, Ms. Rodriguez. You press the button and hold it until it turns green, and then you're ready to speak. Press and hold.
Testing.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Thank you all so much for inviting me to be here tonight. I really appreciate you all doing this and being so involved in the process. My name is Emily Rodriguez, and I'm a Democrat running the district in Cincinnati. I was born and raised in the district. I lived here my entire life, born and raised in Oakland Park, went to school in Pompano, and I am a survivor of sexual assault, and that was how I really got involved in politics. Victims' rights issues are really important to me. I still don't believe if we go to the police and try to get the help that we need, that we'll be treated with the dignity and care that we deserve. Even if you don't want to go through the reporting process, I still don't believe there's enough resources out there. And so I was in college, and I got really involved in public advocacy work, and I started working with other survivors to make a difference at the state level. And upon graduating, I worked with the Florida Center for Space and Leadership and Jones and got a lot of great experience on a wide range of policy issues that really affect our communities here. Through working in the Florida Senate, I was able to help build coalitions, get bills passed, bring home millions of dollars in funding for our cities in this district that I worked in, and I'm hoping to be able to make a difference in our district here in District 98. And some of the issues that are really important to me is protecting our reproductive freedoms, making sure that housing affordability and health insurance go down, and pricing is really gone completely out of hand, and also investing in our public education system. I was raised in Broward County public schools, and I really believe in our education system here, and unfortunately Tallahassee has really been trying to dismantle the great system that we had in place. More tax dollars are going to private schools, and it's really important to me that we really focus back to our public schools here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Mr. Abel.
Hello, everyone. I'm Keith Baker, and I'm running for District 98. I am a veteran of 30 years that who have served in Iraq and Desert Storm. Leadership is important to me. Taking care of the people. Why I decided to run? I decided to run because I wanted to be the voice of the people. Boots on the ground, ready to serve. Since I've got out of the United States Army, I've been heavily involved in the democratic system. I decided that, you know what, there was a niche that was missing. And that niche was veterans. No one had been really taking care of our veterans in these caucuses. So now today I will tell you, I am the first president of the Democratic Veteran Caucus. And it makes a difference because we have served and we have laid down our life. And I'm the only candidate that has sacrificed. So you want to know what commitment is? Commitment starts at home, and it starts with me. I have a degree, a master's degree in logistics, another degree in public relations and marketing. I am a person that will be there. And oh yeah, today is an exciting day. We have a running mate for Miss Hammond. That is a command sergeant major, which is in the Army. Restart leadership. That's where I was in that area. Enlisted. So she knows leadership. And I'm telling you right here, I stand for leadership. I'm fighting for quality, affordable housing. So you ask that. I'm not trying to go to Tallahassee just say affordable housing. I'm saying, what do District 98 want? Where is their income? How much is it to get a meal? It was $5 when I went to Walmart. So how can the people who say they know about quality, affordable housing don't know what's going on here? Another thing I'm fighting for is veteran rights. We fought very hard to make different sacrifices. Oh yeah, Iraq freedom.
Thank you. Mr. Abel, going forward, please use the mic. This is being live streamed on NAACP's Facebook, so you're gonna need to, and you just press and hold the button, the green light, in order to turn it on. Right. So, Ms. Rodriguez, tell us your top priorities. And what I really want to hear about is those priorities that you're going to work on that are going to affect people that look like me. How is this going to, and I live in 98, so I need to know how this is going to work for people in my community. You have 1 minute, please.
So some of my top priorities for District 98 is one, really investing in our community here as costs go up. I think it's really important that we make sure we people an opportunity to be able to get long-term financial stability here. As I mentioned before, investing in our public education is a big part of that. It's the children are the future. We need to make sure that we're raising teacher salaries here in Broward, giving more incentives. I talk to teachers who live in our county, work in our county, who have gone to Long Beach County, Miami-Dade County to work because they're telling me that they'll get paid more and that it's better for them. And we need to make sure that we fix that here. We have to make sure we're keeping our teachers here, giving them incentives, making sure we have programs for our students that are preparing them for the workforce. A lot has been changing. We need to make sure that our kids are getting involved early on, because a lot of times by the time they're already in high school, it's too late if you're just trying to work on college. That we need to plant the seeds early on. So early childhood education, we need to invest in that. We need to make sure we have more after-school programs and things to make sure that our students are on the right path.
Thank you. Mr. Abel. Press and hold the green button. Okay, you're all set. Press and hold.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Two things. Quality affordable housing. We need to get together and we need to go back to the Sadasi Act and funding. We need to know where our funding is going. A lot of that money that's going in there need to be put back where it's originally for, to help homeowners. We need to have our people, our young people, actually to buy homes and stuff like that. The next thing is women's rights. This is a big thing for me because I always say this. On my mother's deathbed, when she was getting ready, they asked her, do you want to go into surgery? And my brothers, they looked at us. And we said, no, ask my mother. She was in her right mind, so she could make that decision. And then she made a decision that she wanted to go into surgery. I said, if they would start there, what else would they do? I'm all in for women's rights. Those are two things. Thank you.
Thank you. So there is a supermajority for the GOP in Tallahassee. I can tell you that the person who occupies this seat currently gets a lot of calls from the community regarding education and the needs of this community. I can tell you that when there is an issue, I have Dr. Osgood on speed dial. And so when we have an issue, first of all, the communication that she has, I'm using her as an example because it's real. We have an opportunity, we know what's going on weekly. Oftentimes when you have candidates go into Tallahassee and they don't tell us what they're doing, they don't tell us how they voted. Tell me about, number one, your position on where we are on education, be it book banning, be it whitewashing education. And then tell us, once you've done that, we're gonna give you a minute for each. I want you to tell me, how will you, matter of fact, let's start there first. Education. Tell me your thoughts on where we are on education and what has, in these laws that have passed that are going to affect our children and how they learn Black history and if they learn Black history. And we will start with you, Mr. Abel.
Banning books is a big thing. So where we are is fighting for them. A lot of different laws would say the books was taken out. But this is my position of this here. Everything starts at home, because that's how I grew up too. Education of our people should be in our house and starting from there. We have to fight, not only with our legislation, but we also have to fight with our educators and we have to fight with the people in our community. We need to get more involved in it. And I'm not saying just be involved, but actually doing the work.
Okay, Ms. Rodriguez.
And so I was actually working in the Florida legislature when these bills, book ban bills, and a lot of these racist policies were being passed affecting our education system. And unfortunately, Tallahassee, these Republicans, they have decided to make this their issue. They're dedicated to making sure that our students don't learn the real history in our schools because they're scared of what that will do and how that will make kids vote in the future, quite frankly. And from what I saw of them, they're very much set on grabbing out our voices, and that's how we need to have strong voices out there who will advocate for our students to make sure the real history is taught. I was out there when the Stop Vote Act was being passed, and what we did is we built coalitions, we invited partners, we let them know about the bill, we had press rallies, press conferences and rallies to try to show the strong opposition against the bill. Unfortunately, it did still pass anyways because of the Republican majority that we had, but we really did everything in our campaign office that I worked with to try to make sure that people are aware, whether it's through social media, the big thing that I want to do, the big thing I want
Thank you. And I'm going to ask it in a different way. Mr. Abel, can this community, the Black community and the brown community, but particularly the Black community, can we count on you when it comes to issues of education, when it comes to banning books, when it comes to whitewashing history? Can we count on you to stand against the majority that's in there to fight for what's right and just for our community when you're in if you're in Tallahassee?
Yes, you can count on me. And actually, I've started already. I've actually started going to different homes. I actually started mentoring different youth right now about our education, about what we do, and that we are a powerful people, Black and brown. So yes.
Ms. Rodriguez.
Yes, you can 100% count on me to advocate for the real history, Black history to be taught in our schools without any of the whitewashing that the Republicans have been doing. They try to claim that it's not racist, but we look at the stats, over 40% of the books that they ban have racial or talk about racism or either by Black authors, and they're really trying to claim that it's not about that, but we know the truth, and I will fight to make sure that I don't just advocate on this issue, or I'll hold my white colleagues accountable and make sure that they're just as strong as the voice on it.
Thank you. Are you familiar with the Promise Program and the School to Prison Pipeline? So yes, it's Broward County Schools. Started here, spread throughout the nation. However, because of the administration that's in place, it affected us greatly. So are you aware of, tell us what you know or what you're aware of when it comes to the school to prison pipeline in Broward County and how it affects and who it affects in our schools. Ms. Rodriguez.
And so, in terms of, I know about the schools with the pipeline in Florida in general, it's definitely, I know they look at how students perform in schools, when they're just in elementary school, and based on their reading scores and how they perform, and they decide how many prisons are actually going to build and how many people they'll need to house just based on predicting that kids won't be able to succeed based so early on. That's exactly what we need to make sure that we have programs to invest in these students early on to fight against these policies, because we cannot be having people look at our elementary schools and already writing them off, telling us that they don't have a future. We need to make sure that, as I said, we invest in our public education system. And a lot of that is not just helping our students, it's helping our families. From when I worked with the youth department at Central Florida Urban League throughout college, the biggest thing was trying to make sure we help get the families involved too and give them the support they need as well, because it's not just about the students, it's about how we help them to succeed. And that is how you make sure that a student makes it to college and is able to graduate and have that long-term stability.
Thank you. Mr. Abel, school to prison pipeline and how it affects students here in Broward County.
I'm very much understanding of the Promise Program. Excellent, excellent. Because it means well to me, because I have nieces and nephews. And if something happens to them, oh, it was a mistake. I don't want something like that to be on their records, to affect them to where when they have opportunities, when they're turned 18 years old or something like that, where they actually can't get a job or actually they be stereotyped. So what I'm looking at is, and when I was out there at the school board, and it was talking and debating about these issues and stuff, and I'm saying this is very poor, that this system here needs to be protected, because you got schools in other areas that is protected their kids and they have second opportunities, so we should too.
Okay. So, Project 2025. This is a nonpartisan forum. All the partners are all nonpartisan, but we ain't blind. And so, It's going to be a collaborative effort to make sure that Project 2025, and of course, usually the current administration will follow through or begin some of the similar work. So should you be, hopefully, you're somewhat familiar with Project 2025. And tell me how, if any parts of it are implemented, how do you think that will affect education or any other part of our lives here in Broward County? I think Ms. Rodriguez, you went second last time. You go ahead. Go ahead. Yes.
So it's a Project 2025, it is quite lengthy, there's a lot of terrible policies in it, quite frankly. One of the particulars is attacking our reproductive freedoms and really trying to make it impossible for women to get the reproductive health care they need. They even go as far as trying to make it harder for women to get birth control and contraceptives with Project 2025. And we know they don't want us to get contraceptives, they don't want us to have abortion here. And they're really just asking our women to be forced to give birth to these kids. And that's just one terrible policy that's in it, just on reproductive rights alone. And I know that District 98 families, they cannot go fly to another state if it's even allowed in other states after this to get the care that they need. They deserve care right here in Broward County. They should not have to travel anywhere for it. They should not have to leave Florida for it. And then some of the other issues that are in Project 2025, a lot of divisive policies about the way that we teach things in our schools. They want to completely whitewash our curriculums. As we've seen in Florida, that is already happening here. And I will say as a representative, I'll make sure that we try to get any implementation of this and hopefully.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Abel.
They say Project 2025. I say it's Project 2024. It's happening now. A lot of stuff that's going on now is just hidden. That is just the roadway now to show you what it is. As far as education, we need funding. A lot of our schools, especially in District 98, does not have the funding. The other day I went there to Markham School and I looked at the portal that they're actually putting our young people in. I look at where all the stuff going on in the schools, and we need help and we need funding. So therefore, even taking our education of who we are as Black and brown, that's why we done started. So everybody, it's an old song that says, wake up everybody. It's started already. So we have to start it now. And I'm standing for that right now. I'm not waiting till I get to Tallahassee to work on that. I'm working on it now. That's why I'm in the community, boots on the ground, listening to the resident and saying, what do we want to do? These are the actions. So when I go there, I have an action plan and ready to go. Thank you.
Thank you. So for the 1 minute closing, I want you to tell us, please, you get elected, you get to Tallahassee. We're talking to you when session starts and we tell you what our priorities are. How will the communication be between your office and our community? What would be the best way to do that? Or do you think that we should have limited access to your office? I think you started first last time, Mr. Abel.
First of all, when I get elected, I'm not waiting till I go to Tallahassee to find that out. I'm going to each community centers. I'm going to start having town hall meetings. This is the way of communication that we'll do with. We'll have the internet. We'll also have different meetings where we talk to different leaders, like right now. I'm not waiting. I'm boots on the ground and I'm ready to go. Let's do this. I'm going forward, and that's where I look at it, that the communications will be all over. There's no reason in today's society and technology that you cannot be ready to go. I'll be accessible on my phone, and I'll be ready to go. I'm not waiting. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Rodriguez.
Testing. All right, I want to make sure that our office is accessible as we can make it to be for our constituents from working in the Florida Senate. I saw how important it is to make sure that our constituents can access you. It's the difference between whether someone gets evicted, gets their food stamps, and a family eats. It's so important that people know how to contact your office. They know how your office can help. I want to make sure, whether it's through social media, in the newspapers, we want to make sure that people know how to get to our office. And another big barrier that I saw when I worked in the Florida Senate was it was very difficult for some folks to get to our office. They didn't have transportation. So something that I really want to do differently with my office is create a program where we can help constituents who don't have the transportation they need to find a way to bring them into our office. Because when I was legislative aide, I would drive to constituents myself to pick them up and drop them off, because a lot of times they don't have a computer at home to be able to print out the documents they need for an agency. And that's where we come in, and we need to be completely hands-on and go above and beyond to make sure we reach folks. They should know who we are. It should not be hard for folks to find us. We need to be meeting them where they're at.
Thank you. And in closing, why should I vote for you? I live in your district. Tell me something, me and my neighbors, your constituents, why should we vote for you as opposed to your opponent? I think we started with you, Ms. Rodriguez, initially. We will start with Mr. Abel and end with you.
Abel's a good name. Abel's good. Well, I'm very strategic in what I do. With the military background, I understand what it is. I understand what it is to be in touch with people. I understand what it is to have a diverse group. And like I always say, that we fought for everyone: Black, white, Asian, Puerto Rican, straight, and gay. And I definitely will fight for veterans. I will fight for women, and I will fight for seniors and quality affordable housing. I am Keith Abel. I will be your next state representative for District 98.
Thank you. And Ms. Rodriguez.
I was born and raised in the district. I lived here my entire life. I know this community very well, and I'm the only candidate who has Tallahassee experience, who has actually gotten bills passed, who has brought home millions of dollars in funding for our cities. The Republicans up there do not make it easy for us, and they do not give any type of handbook. So you really need someone who has that kind of experience to be able to work the ins and outs of Tallahassee, who knows how to bring coalitions together and really get things done and bills passed. Without that, no progress can really be made. So experience is super important. As I said, I am born and raised here. I've lived here my whole life, and I am the only woman in the race. I believe that my story as a survivor, my perspective as a woman, puts me in the right position to defend our reproductive rights and fight for better care for our young mothers here in Florida. As a young woman myself who wants to raise our families here, it's something that I'm personally invested in. And I see that the rates, women in Florida, Black women here in Florida, are still 3 to 4 times more likely to die during childbirth. This is an issue that I care deeply about, and I want to make sure that we are advocating for our community's needs at every level. And as I said, I know I'm not a Black candidate, but I will make sure that we have our voices heard at that level, and hold my other colleagues accountable to make sure they're voicing it as well.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the 2 candidates who came to ask for your vote from House Representative District 98, Mr. Keith Abel and Ms. Emily Rodriguez. Thank you all. Next up, House of Representatives, District 99. We have Representative Darrell Campbell and Mr. Joshua Brown. Okay, we're going to ask that you give a 1-minute or 2-minute opening statement. We will start with Mr. Brown.
Good afternoon, everyone. NAAACP President, Divine Nine, my all members. My name is Joshua Brown. I'm born and raised in District 99 from daycare, Helen, elementary school, Walker, middle school, Rogers Middle School, and high school, Shredderhand High School. I lived in this district, born and raised. So when you look at a product, you're looking at a product of District 99. Second, lastly, I'm the first generation of an entrepreneur, not no family inherited business, but created a business for my next generation to lead. It's the model, how you can become excellent with no family background or entrepreneurship. So I am Joshua Brown.
Thank you. Rep. Campbell.
Good afternoon, everybody. Darrell Campbell, representative of District 99. It's been a roller coaster for 2 years, but we've made it this far. For those who may not know me, I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I counsel people who struggle with mental health issues when I'm not working as a state representative. And so what we've been doing in my time since the legislature has been really talking about the issues regarding mental health within our community and providing services and care and resources to the community and making sure that they have what they need to move forward and get the things that they need, because we know it's not just counseling, but it's also making sure that they have a roof over their head, that they have a place to stay, they have a place to get some access to resources. And what I've done in my time, I brought home $10.4 million to our district in that short married stint. I also have passed 2 bills that all came with both appropriations. As you already know, the climate, the culture in the House is not a normal atmosphere, and for me to do that under this type of pressure, I'm so proud of, but also making sure that we're standing on business as well when we talk about what are we fighting for and not selling out our community. And so I'm looking forward to telling more about what I've done and looking forward to continuing that effort as we move forward.
Thank you. And so let us remember where we are. This is a house of worship. It may not be yours, but this is holy ground for our community. So we will certainly watch our language, everyone, and we haven't had an issue tonight, but I can say that there was another forum where people forgot or didn't care where they were. So I would ask that you be very respectful and know that we would have to would hate very much to perhaps to ask you to leave, but we will, because we want to make sure that our community gets to know who you are and whose you are, and please be respectful of this church who have been so very kind to allow us to participate. Remember, this is live streaming, so there will be others that are watching as well. And so let's start. We will start with Mr. Brown. Tell us your top 3 priorities issues you will take up that will affect our community, sir.
Thank you. I'm gonna be wise, so I have 2 minutes, so I gotta be quick with my response. 1 minute, okay. My top 3 would be affordable, putting a rent cap on rent increase. Second would be reducing the property tax as well as homeowners insurance. The third would be more vocational training so you can be able to live a sustainable life here in District 99.
Thank you, sir. Rep. Campbell.
Thank you for that question, Madam President. So my top 3 issues are access, affordability, and education. When we talk about access, we're talking about creating more access, making sure that our community, when we are getting locked up there in Tallahassee, how do we create more access amongst ourselves and connecting individuals to those resources available? Affordability, how do we make sure that when they do have that access, that it is affordable for them to make sure that they can utilize those services and those providers? And the lastly is education. Yes, we talk about education within schools, but also educating our community on what it is like to access to resources. For too many times, talking with the community, a lot of our community members don't seek out those resources or don't know those resources are available. So it's upon us as representatives and senators to make sure that we are creating that educational component so that folks know how to get these resources and then know what's available for them.
Thank you. So, school to prison pipeline. Education is vitally important to our community. And we lost the Promise program here in Broward County. Arrests are up. I know that you are being told that the resources are still there. That may be true, but those second chances are not given to children who look like me. Black and brown children are punished 3.5 times their white counterparts. And so I want to know, we're in this space because of legislation that come out of Tallahassee. Tell us what you will do to make sure that education the funding is kept intact, that anything that's going to harm our children, be it more education issues as it pertains to banning of books, as it pertains to how we deal with our children. Tell me how you plan to fight this battle of education in Tallahassee, given the climate that's there. And we'll start with Rep. Campbell.
Thank you, Madam President, for that question. And so it goes back to connectivity. As I said, I go up there to represent you guys. I make sure that each time that I'm representing you all up there in Tallahassee, I'm standing on business through and through, but also making sure that I'm not there by myself. I'm coming back home and I'm connecting to our resources. We're connecting to the church. We're connecting to the libraries. We're connecting to all these programs that are out here and available in our district to make sure that we are protecting our history and that we are teaching our children the value of what has happened, what is occurring, and how to continue pressing on and moving forward through all the struggles that we are seeing. When I think about it, we talk about voting. We need to make sure that we're getting people out to vote and making sure that they are doing their due diligence and understanding who their candidates are and what they represent. And also making sure that what does the future look like for our kids and educating them on that and what's available and out there as that.
Mr. Brown.
Thank you for that question. I'm gonna know we have a minute, so let me be quick. Guys, we all know District 99 is a unique district. We got one of the toughest crimes in District 99. So when we talk about going to Tallahassee and making sure that bills are getting passed, and when we talk about the Promise Program, I have a nonprofit called Step Up, and exactly what we're doing, we're stepping up. I got the only starting nonprofit that get a proclamation in only 3 years, and that's rare for a startup nonprofit to get a proclamation from the city of Fort Lauderdale and Broward County when it comes to second chance. So you talking about second chance, you're looking at the founder who made sure that our county commissioner and mayor recognize second chance. When we talk about our babies and our young black boys and girls getting a second chance and fighting for the opportunity, don't look no further, because Joshua Brown is going to make sure that District 99 get its just dues. Because at the end of the day, my duty as a responsibility and duties as a state rep, exactly that, a representative to come back and fight the fight and come back and tell the fight to the people.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. So I'm going to rephrase the question. How will you fight for this community in Tallahassee with bills that will continue to affect education, particularly when it comes to Black children? I understand what you may be doing here, but when you get to Tallahassee, it's a whole nother thing. And so tell us, will you be looking? Do you understand the issues? How will you help us? Should we vote for you? How will you help us fight off this current administration who is just so bent on making sure that our children aren't reading true Black history, that books are banned? So what is your plan to help us on education, be it funding or anything? And we'll start with you, Mr. Brown.
Thank you. Like everything, guys, we got to sit down. We got to hear both sides of the story, because we only hear one side. So I want to go to Tallahassee. I want to hear what the Republicans are saying when it comes to Black education. We hear the Democrats, but what are the Republicans saying? Because they are the District 99 in the whole state of Florida. So before I say what I'm going to do, I want to get the language right. I want to make sure what is being said, what bills are being proposed, understand the language before I can make a conjured decision and say, okay, this is what we need to do. So before I answer that question, I want to know what's going on, because I'm hearing it from both sides. I'm hearing from one side and I'm hearing from the other. So I want a clear understanding of what exactly is going on when it comes to education, books being removed and everything. So with that being said, guys, you get someone that's going to make sure that he's not going to make a party decision, but he's going to make a people's decision. So that's my stand on what's going on in Tallahassee when it's talking about education for our students in District 99.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Representative Campbell.
Thank you for that question, Madam President. And so I'm going to continue doing what I've been doing, making sure that they see my face. If anybody know anything about the legislature, I'm the first Black man with locks in the legislature, and I represent my community. When they look at me, they see my community. And so every time I step into their office, every time that I meet with them, I'm telling them my perspective. I'm telling them what the community is talking about. And on top of that, I have to go one step further. Not only am I working for my community, but I also got to work to help other communities as far as getting people in the office elected that are going to vote on those same particular issues. While I have to focus on our district, I'm only one of 120 members in the state house, and my vote only counts for one. And so as we get those numbers, fight in our off season and fighting to get good people in those seats that are aligned with our issues, then we will see those changes that we need to see. But until then, I'm going to continue to fight. I'm going to stand on business. I'm going to continue to work for our
Thank you. Mr. Brown, there was a bill that passed this last session that dealt with citizens being able to film police. It moved us back quite a distance from the 25 feet or so to at least twice that, which is, there's a big difference between filming the police from 25 feet than film it from 50 feet. So tell me, if you were in office, what would you have your position? Because there were a lot of different kind of votes for a lot of different reasons. And that's just one element. Based on that, and there's a lot of uncertainty about it, but just on that fact alone, how do you think you would have voted, or what would your discussion have been in defense or in support of that bill?
Wow, great question. Guys, like I said, I'm mutual. I want, just like how we fight when police kill our young Black boys, we need that same energy when Blacks kill Blacks in our community. So with that being said, I definitely would like I said, I want to understand the language of the bill. I want to get down to the root cause, okay, what they're saying about famine and everything. If there's no one being attacked or no rights or violation being going on, I want to understand, because I'm all big on law and order. So with that being said, I definitely would like to understand the bill and what proposed that bill to get more clarity before I make a sound decision on that bill being passed. So I would have been in Tallahassee, and if I was there, I definitely would have tried to make sure I had a clear understanding before agreeing or disagreeing with that bill that got passed.
Okay. Representative Campbell, what was your understanding of the bill? And then tell us how you voted.
Thank you for the question, Madam President. So my understanding of the bill was that there was a concern that when somebody pulls out their camera and they're filming an individual that is being wrongfully detained in an incorrect manner, that how were you supposed to judge? How was the officer supposed to judge the speed from distance from the individual that was filming to the officer? And we didn't know where that line started or began. It was too based off of perspective, and nothing that the legislature could tell us regarding that. And so, you know, one of the things that I did was I reached out to the NAACP, I reached out to my senators, I reached out to folks that were in the system and kind of talked to them, people that worked in the department of the sheriff's office. This did not agree with that bill as well, and so I voted against that bill, and it was an easy no for me.
Thank you. And for this next question, you can blame both Bobby Dubose, former state representative, and Senator Reverend Dr. Rosalind Osgood. We have any time, any day, any hour when there are issues. The NAACP has a lobbyist that works daily in Tallahassee. And she communicates with us what's going on, and we work to establish a position on whatever we believe the intended or unintended consequences of the bill. So the communication is open. And there were how many bills last year, Senator?
So 3,000 and 4,000 is about 300
So 3,000 that was filed and 300 plus that made it through. And so there are times when we have to be able to talk to our representative, and they then get their staff to drill down, and we talk about and figure out how this is going to adversely affect, or if it will help us in any way to really understand. So tell us about what the communication will look like once you're reelected or you're elected, and we'll start with Mr. Brown.
Thank you. The same way I came in boots on the ground, talking to the homeowner president, talking to the small grassroots organization, the true backbones of the community. We're going to come together. The same way I went in, the same way I'm coming out. The same way I'm going to be transparent. I'm going to let them know what's going on. We're going to come together. We're going to put our minds together. We're going to come together and think and create a positive plan that we can implement to be able to go back to implement. So my office would be like it is with my nonprofit. It's open door policy. You come and you talk to me. I'm in the community. I know the community, so I know who actually does the work. It's not the big organization that does everything. No, it's the small grassroots organization that does the work in the community. And so I'm going to connect with my grassroots organization, my homeowners resident, as well as my local and city, county commissioners and mayors to make sure that we got a constant and solid plan where we're going back to Tallahassee to address any issues. No, I'm saying to be able to contact me, we're going to work as a collective group to get the jobs done. Open book.
Rep. Campbell.
Thank you, Madam President. So what I've been doing is, first off, of course, I'm a lifetime member of the NAACP, so I constantly have access. As I tell you, I talk with the NAACP. You have my both cell phones and my emails and personal emails and all that to contact me for any type of issue. I'm ready and available for anything that's happening in Tallahassee, and we're ready to organize as it relates to our community down here as well. At the same time, me and the senator are one in lockstep in understanding our community and making sure that we're talking amongst ourselves when we're in the Tallahassee, and making sure that we're on the same page of what that looks like for our community, both in the House and the Senate. And then on top of that, I'm in group chats with the HOAs, the civic associations within the community. And so anytime that they're putting on issues and having concerns in those group chats, sometimes when I'm on the floor, I get a chance to hop into those group chats and let them know, hey, I'm reading that bill as we speak. And so that's how I plan to keep my communication with y'all.
So I hope I heard that everyone will have an opportunity to speak to their representative. I hope I heard that Bobby, when the Qs call, or Mark, when the Sigmas call, or when my daughter calls, who got an issue with healthcare, that we will be able to, all of us will get an answer. And I'm sure that whoever your staff is very nice. I just don't know them. I know Julie from another life, but I don't know who works in Senator Osgood's office because I never called them. So, and I'm not the only one. I'm saying I from experience, but all of us can reach out. So I hope that will continue, that line of communication will continue. No matter who is the winner here. What is your understanding of Project 2025? And so we have to fight this on the local level, state, national, all hands on deck. So what is your understanding is, and what do you think you'll be able to do from your office? Because even we know that this current administration likes to mimic what they do at the White House, or what they do and what they did in the previous administration of the White House. So tell me what you see your job is from the representative space that you're in. Mr. Campbell, Representative Campbell.
Thank you, Madam President. So, Project 25 has been a litmus test in here in Florida. As you can see, they've been trying things and putting things out and actually getting them through. We have been fighting that day in and day out, educating the community. Some of the bills that end up passing that are bad, before they were bad, they were horrendous prior to make it to the finish line. And we've had to organize. We had to let the community know. We had to let the Divine Nine know. We had to let folks know what is happening up here so that they can begin rolling back on some of these things that are really affecting our issues. And so we just got to continue to fight, y'all. This is not just because you vote today or August 20th when the president gets into office, it ends there. We need to continue to work and continue to supporting each other all across the state and organizing and letting our voices be heard as we continue to fight and get good people in office.
Thank you. Mr. Brown?
Thank you. Same thing like I've been telling you guys before. I want to understand. I want to get clarification of this bill because we know everybody got a hidden agenda. So I want to get clarification of Project 25. And when it comes to educating our people, guys, everyone is not a divine nine. Everyone may not go to the two big churches, all of the Mount Bethel. But we need to be able to go and reach our audience where they're at the parks. It's all about educating. We got to educate our young black families, our youth, so they can make a sound decision on when they hear bills like this and not being persuaded by media, but understand what's going on, they can make a clear, conscious decision. So when it comes to Project 25, like everything else, I want to get the clear understanding of what's being proposed, what of our plan of action, and what we're going to do, and what's the other opposite agenda that they have, because everyone has an agenda. So at the end of the day, it's all about educating and reaching the people that's not able to come and be reached.
Thank you. Rep. Campbell? Did you answer?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so 1 minute. I think we started with Mr. Brown. We'll start with you, Rep. Campbell. For your closing, tell us anything why should we vote for you? You got a lot of constituents in here. Why should we vote for you as opposed to your opponent? Rep. Campbell.
Thank you, Madam President. So, I laid out my track record. I brought home $10.4 million. I got a huge bill that targets the root of sickle cell, putting 10 facilities up and down the state of Florida. That came with a $6 million appropriation. I also targeted our homeless population, trying to get people who were once homeless job opportunities with DCF to be peer support specialists, paid peer support specialists for people who are currently homeless, getting them help and the services that they need. I've been boots on the ground, and it's been 2 years. I'm just finishing up my freshman term, and we're doing amazing things. And we talk about what does moving our community forward. That's what it looks like. And I'm fighting up and down the state of Florida, letting people know we need you to elect these folks into office. And so I'm not going to stop. I have great mentorship. I'm a lifetime member, and I'm the only member up here that has not been endorsed by the GOP. And so I'm looking forward to your vote and looking forward to your support as we move forward. So.
Thank you. And Mr. Brown.
Yes, I'm going to sum it up like this. I'm honest. If I say I brought back something, you're going to see what I bring back. If I say I did something, you're going to see. There's no line. We know this is the year of the ballot box. So, we're going to have our elected officials come and saying what they have done and what they do. And there's no excuse. What I say I'm going to do, I'm going to do. I have 5 years advocating and getting bills done that elected officials cannot get done just on a grassroots level. So imagine what I can do on a local level outside the door. Imagine when I'm at the table, what I can get done for the people. So my record speaks powerful. When I say I'm gonna get something done, you can believe. I can point you to the direction where you can find my bills that I got passed, the money where it went to, and we can come back and we can stand on it. Because I'm truthful, I'm honest. We're in the house of the Lord, so we can't lie. So when you pull up Joshua Brown, you can see his proclamation, money that he has, and not saying what he has done and brought back. But you can fact check everything that I say, and you can stand and you can take it to the altar. That's why you should vote for Joshua Brown.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, these are your candidates for House of Representatives, District 99, Darrell Campbell and Joshua Brown. Let's move now to our Senate, District 35. We have Mr. Rodney Jacobs, we have Dr. Barbara Sharif, and we have Chad Glickman. And might I recommend that if you go to Senator Osgood has a cheat sheet for those individuals who have not read or begun to read about Project 2025, pulled out some really important parts of it in particular that's going to affect us. All of it is available. If you are not on her mailing list, get on there, because this is really, it's real, and it's something that we all should be concerned about. Thank you, Doc. I appreciate it. All right, we are going to start with a 2-minute opening. Ladies first. We will start with Dr. Barbara Sharif. Oh, I'm sorry, press it and press the button, hold it until it turns green, and you'll be all set. Press and hold. It's on the front there. Yes. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. Good evening. Thank you all for being here. I'm Dr. Barbara Sharif. I am the former mayor of Broward County. I served 14 years in elected office. I am the first African-American female mayor of Broward County. I had the privilege of serving in my capacity as mayor of Broward County as the Florida Association of Counties president. I was the first African-American female elected in its 84-year history. And during my time on that board, I was able to stop some of the largest unfunded mandates to Broward County, such as Medicaid retro billing, spearheaded the transportation surtax, sat on the 16 county for Coalition Water Resources. I sat on the Metropolitan Planning Organization for Transportation for 13 years. I spearheaded the opioid task force for Broward County because we had a drug issue here. And I went to the National Association of Counties, and I sat on the Health Steering Committee as the chair, and under the Obama administration, I wrote some of the long-term care policies, as well as some of the policies for Medicaid and for medication. I'm trying to look at this timer. Okay, so I've got 42 seconds left. So I'm a mother of 3 girls who have grown up here in Broward County, graduated from public school. I am a native Floridian. I am a doctor of nursing practice. That's what the doctor stands for, 33 years in the healthcare profession. That means I started at about 2. Okay, see, they laughed. My kids say I'm not funny, so since you laughed, I think I need to record that. But it's a great honor and privilege to be here, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Glickman.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm Chad Klitzman, born and raised in Senate District 35, the proud product of public schools in Senate District 35. I have been active in this community since before I could even vote. When I was in high school, I was the president of Kids Voting Broward, the countywide voting initiative for young people. I served as the student ambassador to the Broward League of Cities, and I have done things along my personal and professional journeys to set myself up for an opportunity just like this one, because public service has always been my passion. I went on to college at the University of Pennsylvania. I graduated with honors from Columbia Law School. I served in the Obama White House back in 2014 and in 2015 in a logistical capacity, putting together events for the president and for the first lady. Spent some time at the Federal Aviation Administration, Federal Highway Administration. I've worked as an attorney over the last 6 years, but some of you might remember that back in 2020, I ran for supervisor of elections here in Broward County. That was a countywide race. I fell short, unfortunately, by 0.3% in a recount, but I spent 1 year of my life studying election administration and voting rights. That is the thing that I have been most passionate about since high school. That is the work that I've been doing in this community for literally my entire life, and that is the work that is most important to me as we now move into to this Senate race. I jumped into this race towards the end of October because this community, this state, has become far less affordable, far less inclusive. And I firmly believe that if we are to usher this state into the future, we have to elect the future. I'm proud to have the greatest number of endorsements from current and former members of the legislature. The Sun Sentinel endorsed me as the best choice in this race with the most detailed policy ideas. On countonchad.com, you can read about how I intend to defend your rights and protect your wallets. But most importantly, I'm doing the work. I have personally knocked on over 10,000 doors in this district. I'm asking folks what's on their minds. People can't afford housing. They can't afford property insurance premiums. They're concerned about their reproductive rights being under attack. These are the things that are top of mind for me, and I look forward to chatting about what's on your mind in the course of the next couple minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jacobs.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rodney Jacobs. each and every day I'm asked a simple question of, hey, Rodney, why are you running? And it comes down to the fact of, I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. Far too often, each and every day, as I go to my office as the executive director of the Civilian Oversight Investigation Panel at the City of Miami, where we try to hold police officers accountable, we would get laws, much like the one you mentioned about standing 25 feet back from police officers, or House Bill 601, and we ask ourselves, who was asking for that? That pushed me into this race, understanding that our needs weren't getting met by the people in Tallahassee. And I felt like I had a different set of needs and perspectives in order to accomplish those tasks. With my law degree and my 2 master's degrees, one in public health and one in public administration, I understand government and healthcare through policies in ways that other candidates do not. More so, I've had 10 years experience in the military. I'm a captain, company commander, where I lead a company of over 140 soldiers each and every day through special operations and civilian affairs and military government work. I understand that throughout my whole life, or at least throughout my whole adult life, I have worked in the public interest because this is what interests me. Not only do I try to do my best to hold police officers accountable and whittle back and weaken bills that look to do less of that, I've been able to do the work that I have in the military in large part because I care about the interests of the people. So for me, the question was always very simple. If not me, then who? If not now, then when? And I threw my hat into this race because I understand that if I can fight for this country, I can fight against the people in Tallahassee that are looking to take away our rights. So since September, or right after Labor Day, I jumped into this race not only for my family and my 2 young boys who I'm raising in this district, but also to fight for each and every one of you, people that look like me and act like me, talk like me, and walk like me. Because I understand these issues because I live these issues. And so I'm put in a position right now to effectuate the change where it matters the most. So I hope over the course of this period in time, you can check out my website at jacobsforsenate.com and also look at my strategies and how I'm going to push Florida forward.
Thank you. Let's talk priorities. Give us your top 3 priorities of issues that are going to be affecting our community. In particular, we'll start with Mr. Glickman and me. Move forward.
So number 1 is the cost of housing. It's incentivizing more affordable housing development in our community and getting the property insurance crisis under control. Every single day, I meet teachers, police officers, firefighters who are no longer able to live in the communities that they serve. That is not sustainable. We need someone with real solutions to these challenges. If you go to countonchad.com, I don't have enough time to go through all of my proposals here, multiple proposals on both affordable housing and property insurance. Our rights are under attack. Reproductive freedom is under attack. We all need to vote for Amendment 4 this coming November, and voting rights are under attack. We need to do whatever we can to make voting as accessible as possible. They are throwing as many roadblocks as they can in Tallahassee right now to make it more difficult for you to cast a ballot, and that is unacceptable. So top 3 priorities: property insurance and affordable housing, reproductive rights, and doing whatever we can to protect your right to vote and expand access to the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jacobs.
For me, my 3 main issues are education that promotes prosperity, what I'm calling dinner table economics, or economics that affects you in your home, like property insurance, putting food on the table, ensuring that your lights and utilities bills stay reasonable and responsible, and then also environmental protection. To unpack these very quickly, obviously education is a big one. I have 2 boys, a 2-year-old and a 6-month-old. So education hits me right at home each and every day. And for far too long, especially right now in Broward County, when we're using public dollars to fund private education, we're bolstering the school-to-prison pipeline, banning books, and a whole host of other just important things. We need to ensure that we're making policy that promotes educational prosperity and allowing people to come up through education to prove their life circumstance. Obviously, property insurance is really big. We had a whole session about insurance. It did nothing to reduce the amount of reinsurance that we're doing for homeowners, and also environmental protection. We can't live in South Florida if we can't breathe the air, or if we're being flooded out. So we have to ensure that we're doing our best to push back against regulation reforms.
Thank you. Dr. Sharif.
Ready. Okay, so the first issue has always been affordability in our district. Young people can't afford to buy houses like we were able to buy houses and working extra jobs and saving our money. That's Florida has become so unaffordable. And it's not just a matter of property insurance that's making Florida unaffordable. It's the fact that we don't have enough affordable housing. And as a Broward County Commissioner and Mayor, I supported public-private partnerships to build affordable housing. The second issue that we have here is healthcare access. We have an aging population in Broward County, and there is not enough healthcare access. And what we have to do is we have to advocate as state senators to have our voters approve Medicaid expansion. Medicaid expansion is not just for young families, but is also for seniors. There's a portion of Medicaid expansion that covers long-term care, which is the thing that our seniors need most. When Medicare can't cover respite care and care for Alzheimer's, we have to do that.
Thank you.
And so those are my priorities.
Thank you. So it's important that the community is able to have a communication with your office. I must admit that communication is non-existent for our community as we sit. And so how will you, if elected, change that line of communication so that all communities will be able to contact you? As I was saying earlier, I'm sure that the staff of 98 and then Dr. Osgood's office, I'm sure they're very nice. I just don't know who they are, because when we have an issue, either our lobbyists and the NAACP, state, national, local, wherever we're able to get on have a conversation about the issue that's affecting. So how will you, or do you think there needs to be a change in communication in the office that you're seeking? And we'll start with Dr. Sharif. We'll start with you this time.
So I'm going to continue to do what I did as mayor and county commissioner, which is have an open door policy. Look, I don't have to say what I'm going to do. You can look at my record and know what I've been doing. For 14 years, people have been able to come to my office and have their issues heard, have my staff address concerns when we have to escalate them throughout the county. We've done the work. I've been doing the work, and so I'm going to say that I'm going to continue to do what I've always done, and that is be ever present in my community, reach out, go to where the people are, and make sure that your voices are being heard. I'm in this race to make sure that all the people in our district have a voice, and that discrimination that has been levied upon us by people and members in Tallahassee who don't look like us stops. And so as District 35 representative, I plan to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jacobs?
So I'm a firm believer in meeting people where they are. It's one thing to say that you have an open door policy, but if people just come through the door and they're just talking at you and not having real community and conversation, then what are we doing here? I, for one, will be the first to tell you that I don't know everything. So in order for me to solve issues, I have to know about the issues and also meet the experts that are dealing with the issues. So you won't have to come to me. I'll come to you. I'll be giving out my phone number. I will be hosting town halls. I'll be ensuring that I'm meeting the people exactly where they are, because far too often we expect people to show up on our doorstep having this information when in all likelihood they're dealing with their own life struggles. So I'm not going to make it an additional burden to say, come to me, the door is open, you never came to me, so therefore you have no issues. I'm going to come to you, because it's up to me and it's incumbent upon me to know what the issues are, come to the people that are facing it and ask them for their perspectives without intruding on bath time for the kids or dinner time. So for me, it's about meeting people where they are, giving them access and opportunity to have a seat at the table.
Thank you. Mr. Glickman?
If you want to get your phones out, my phone number is 954-325-3290. You will have full access to Chad Klitzman day in, day out, anytime in the evening. Call me, text me. I'm giving out my phone number to literally everyone. I'm even running a TV ad where we literally give people a number they can call or text, and I guarantee that I will get back to them within 72 hours or less. So that is the type of service that you deserve from your elected leaders. And I'm not waiting to get elected to office to do that work. I'm doing it as a candidate. As I mentioned, I have knocked on over 10,000 doors personally from side of the district, East Miramar, all the way out to the Everglades. I am also running a really innovative campaign fellowship program. I have over 50 young people on board this program. I am getting the youth involved, and we are reaching out to the community, meeting them where they are at their doors and talking to them on their phones, making thousands of phone calls a week. That is the type of leadership that we need in this Senate seat. And again, you will have full access to me whenever you want. My cell phone is yours, so call.
Thank you. And we're streaming live, so I'm sure you'll be getting some calls, Mr. Glickman.
Go ahead.
Mr. Jacobs. Same question.
I answered it already.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dr.
She started it.
Okay.
Yep.
So let's talk about Project 25.
Yep.
We'll start with you.
So, and I hate to sound like to be redundant, obviously Florida is ground zero for Project 2025. We are essentially the litmus test for the rest of the state to really understand what we're doing here, from Stop Woke Acts, Don't Say Gay bans, and a whole host of other issues, to include giving teachers firearms in schools, which in my case, or at least in my consideration, is the school to prison pipeline on steroids. So there's a lot of important things in Project 2025, and I think it's incumbent upon us to kill a lot of these bills in committee, or weaken them as much as possible, so that way they don't get across the finish line. Far too often, we're not showing up in these spaces to really do the real legislative work, to do it proactively and not retroactively, to organize effectively, to see these issues on the front end, and instead of trying to extinguish them on the back end. So with me, you are getting a candidate that understands policy from the intent and not having to wait for the disparate impact of the law. So for me, Project 2025 is obviously something that is foreseen. As long as we get ahead of it and keep fighting back for it, you will always get a fighter in me.
Mr. Glickman.
So it's absolutely critical that Kamala Harris gets elected to the presidency this November. With respect to the work that previously occurred during the last Trump administration, right? We have seen that they follow through on their campaign promises. A lot of folks didn't think it was possible to overturn Roe v. Wade, and it happened. And if you've read through some of the stuff in those Project 2025 documents, it's really, really scary stuff. And a lot of that stuff has already been implemented, in part at least, in the state of Florida. One of the reasons that I'm so motivated to run for the seat, and why I believe that I'm best suited for this role, is because we need experienced lawyers in hearing to ask questions to folks who are going to be proposing this legislation to set up litigation later on. With respect to Don't Say Gay, with respect to the Stop Woke Act, key parts of that legislation have been overturned in the courts because of what was established in committee hearings. So you need experienced attorneys in these roles asking intelligent questions that can lead to stuff getting overturned afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Sharif.
So you don't need an experienced attorney or anybody else to tell you that Project 25 is bad for our children. If they eliminate Title I, they're going to hurt our teachers. They're going to hurt our public school funding. They're going to destroy public education. That's first. Number two, immigration is going to be under attack. We already have people here waiting to be processed and get in legally and have their social security numbers and their driver's license and be able to work and contribute to our community. Project 2025 plans to destroy that and deport people that are in the waiting, and some people who have even come here legally and who have been born here will have their birthrights taken away and be deported. Number three, Project 2025 will take all of our governmental entities and consolidate them and put them up underneath the president's office, which is the worst problem that we could ever have, because there are checks and balances in place for a reason. These governmental entities are separate for a reason. Project 2025 is bad.
Thank you. And speaking of the 44 pages in Project 2025 regarding education, where we are now is quite bad. This legislature just decided that they are going to take our public school certified teachers out of the detention center and put their teachers in, which means, number one, they're going to spend too much time doing busy work, and the dollars will no longer go to the public schools because they do pay teachers, the district, money to receive for those children that are in custody there. So tell me about what you plan to do, or how you plan to work to improve public education funding, any policies that you will work to change, to adjust any of those things where, because we are in big trouble when it comes to public education and making sure that our children have a high quality public education. We'll start with you where we ended, Dr. Sharif.
So first of all, let me just say, I've been endorsed by the Broward Teachers Union and the Florida Education Association because I have been a staunch advocate to make sure that our teachers get higher pay. Secondly, I think our public schools need to be funded at 100%, and we need to give the support to our local governments to make sure that that happens. When public school education is underfunded, we put our children in our Black and brown communities at a disadvantage. If we are ever going to allow our children to catch up, as a state senator, we must support policies that fully fund public education, stop our voucher money from going to private schools, and allow our families who are working class families, who are Black and brown, who send their kids to public schools to thrive and increase our educational quality. That's what I'm going to do.
Thank you. Mr. Glickman.
So I'm the proud product of a Broward County public school education. I know how valuable a public school education can be, and everything that I have in my life, I credit to that incredible public school education that I got right here in Broward County. So of course, I support fully funding our public schools. We need to do whatever we can to increase teacher pay, not only to increase someone's likelihood to go into the profession, but also to ensure that we can retain the teachers that are currently here. Because one issue that we have is that a lot of folks are leaving the profession, not just because the pay isn't high enough, but also because of all the bureaucratic nonsense that they have to deal with in light of the laws coming out of Tallahassee. When I was in college, I was involved with an organization called Pen for Youth Debate, which went into West Philadelphia schools in partnership with an organization called ASAP. They funded things like debate, drama, different extracurricular activities that had an incredible impact in terms of mitigating the school to prison pipeline, doing whatever we can to fund extracurricular activities, vocational education, alternatives to college, all things that would be great things.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Jacobs.
So obviously, I'm a strong supporter for public schools. I don't think my comments are going to deviate too much from what Barbara and Chad have already said. What I will say is that I'm obviously a benefactor of public schools going through 12 before I graduated high school because my dad was in the military. So I've seen public schools throughout the nation. But what I guess comes to my mind is I'm going to be sending two of my Black boys to public school. And so for me, it's about the criminalization that the state is doing to our kids in schools that gives me concern. From regular behavioral issues that are now seeing kids being arrested at the age of 7, or to kids not being able to get free or reduced lunch because they're hungry. And we all know that if someone is hungry, they can't learn. So I will be pushing back against the criminalization of our students in schools through SROs and other police organizations, but also ensuring that obviously our schools are funded, that we're not using public dollars for private benefit, and obviously ensuring that the kids that do show up to school get an education, they get fed, and are able to learn.
So let's discuss the school to prison pipeline. Hopefully you've heard of Promise and you are familiar with how it affects children, and we'll speak particularly in Broward County. What are your thoughts when it comes to the school to prison pipeline? And we'll start with you, Mr. Glickman.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good? Okay. Yeah, listen, as I said in my previous answer, this is something that, I have seen firsthand, how initiatives that, give folks opportunities to enrich the learning that they're getting in the classroom can be incredibly helpful at mitigating what's going on with respect to the school to prison pipeline. The numbers are incredibly concerning, and we need to do whatever we can to keep our kids out of whether it's juvenile detention or later in prison. So programs that I would support, whether it's in the realm of vocational training, increased access to extracurricular opportunities, all of these things statistically proven to decrease the likelihood that someone would end up in a situation where they would end up in the school to prison pipeline. So those are the sorts of specific initiatives that I would support. As a member of the legislature, as we've all discussed, public education is under attack. We need to make sure that our schools have as much funding as possible. They can support these sorts of initiatives and also address underlying mental health things that could be addressed before they become problems.
Mr. Jacobs.
So yeah, I'm familiar with the whole program. I'll be the first to say that we need to give more resources to that program because it doesn't give students the continuity and quality of care they need ongoing to really look at the mental health issues that students are facing right now. Obviously, when you go to school and you need help, you get it, but what happens after you leave school? What happens if you go to the next grade? What happens if a mental health counselor were to leave that school? We need some level of continuity so that when kids are confronted with mental health issues, they're having ongoing treatment so that they're able to sustain and get gains that are necessary. So in my opinion, we need more of the HOPE funding. Instead of reducing it, we need to extend it more often. We also just need to stop closing schools. Right now, 30 to 50 schools in Broward County, at least in West Broward, are looking to be closed due to funding issues and a whole host of other things that Republicans are trying to do to dismantle our educational system, which only creates a caste systems of haves and have-nots. We have to push back against these things at all costs in order to ensure that people have the opportunity to achieve and exceed throughout the wealth gaps. So for me, it will always be looking to stop the decriminalizing our students and giving them the resources they need.
Thank you. Dr. Sharif?
So the Promise program is meant to stop our children from having to get arrested for things that they're trying to get because they're coming from families that are struggling and working 3 jobs and trying to provide for their kids. And kids are not being able to, one, be properly supervised, but also be able to afford the basic necessities in life. We need civil citation programs. We need to make sure that when children have come with law enforcement, that we have our social service programs in place to continue to make sure that that doesn't happen. And we need to make sure that children have educational opportunities to break the poverty cycle, because that's the reason why they're getting into trouble. Many of the children that have come into contact with law enforcement are in trouble because they're stealing or doing something to get something, selling drugs to get something. So we have to make sure that they're not doing that.
Thank you. Tell us why we should vote for you as opposed to either of your opponents. We will start with you, Dr. Sharif.
Well, first of all, I think I'm the only person up here who hasn't sent out negative mail, attacking the other one for nothing. I am not a Republican. I think that, people do those type of desperate things when they're desperate. I want to say that I've had a 14-year career of public service, as well as a 33-year career as a professional doctor of nursing practice. I have 6 college degrees, and I'm running for state senate, not student body president, but I was the student body vice president of my high school, but that's not really relevant at this point in time. I want to take my experience as a business owner of a multi-million-dollar company with over 600 employees, as a 2-time mayor of Broward County, as the Florida Association of Counties president, as the chair of the National Health Association of Counties Healthcare Steering Committee, as a person who's a mother of children who's attended public education here in Broward County. I care about this community. That's why you should choose me. Experience.
Thank you. Mr. Jacobs.
So for me, you should vote for me first and foremost because I'm a fighter. I'm the only one in this race that has been able to stand up against Ron DeSantis and bring back a tangible win, and that was pushing back HB 601 to ensure that it did not eradicate police oversight for a whole state. I've been able to go to Tallahassee over the course of my 10-year career in police oversight and accountability and bring back wins for policing organizations and police accountability. Barbara was right when she said I was desperate, because I am desperate. I'm desperate for justice. I'm desperate for community. I'm desperate for people like us that have these issues. And if the people that were elected were doing the work that was necessary, I wouldn't be in this race. I got into this race because I'm desperate of being sick and tired of being sick and tired of seeing legislation that is not impacting the people that need issues solved the most. With me, you're getting a fighter. Each and every day, I will go up to Tallahassee to ensure that we stand up for the things that matter the most, because the promises that America has promised us are not being kept.
Thank you, Mr. Glickman.
This is the community that I was raised in. This is the community that I want to raise a family in. It is becoming not very affordable, and it certainly is not as inclusive as it once was. And this is true across the entire state of Florida. We need to hit the reset button right now in the state of Florida. We need fresh leadership now more than ever. And I firmly believe that if we are to move this state into the future, we have to elect the future. Like I said, I served in the Obama White House. I have experience as an attorney. I graduated with honors from Columbia Law School. But most importantly, I'm the proud product of Broward County Public Schools. And I'm the only person in this race that is committed to not just going up to Tallahassee and pressing buttons yes or no, but also doing critical organizing work on the ground to make sure that we don't lose key school board, city commission seats. And I'm doing that work as a candidate. I have over 50 young people on board my campaign. This isn't just about me. It's about bringing other young people into the fold and along for the ride. Because again, if we are to usher the state into the future, we have to elect the future. You can learn more at countonchad.com. Thank you.
And before you all move, Dr. Osgood, just bring your little cheat sheet. Give us just 5 minutes on this Project 25. This is oh so important for all of us. This is real. It's not a myth. It is something that we have to use every breath in our bodies to make sure that we fight for on this anniversary of the signing of the Civil Rights Act of 1965. Doc.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you to all of you brave individuals that have offered yourself for public service. It's not an easy feat, but it is exciting to see individuals taking the opportunity. And as we continue to talk about Project 2025, it's almost 1,000 pages, so many people are not going to have the time and the due diligence to read it. I'm kind of nerdy like that, so I've read most of it. And I can just say that our Project 2024 needs to make sure that Project 2025 is stopped. A lot of the policies have already started to be implemented. I gave you a front and back of just some snapshots. I'll just pull out a few things. When we see public policy that looks to cut funding for Medicaid, that directly impacts poor people in our community and the elderly. And what impacts one of us impacts all of us. So when people don't have health care, then they go to the emergency room for everything, and we continue to pay a larger tax to provide those medical services. It also looks to make sure that going forward we have dirty water and dirty air. It pulls back all of the provisions that's been put in place for climate change. If you're a person that needs prescription drugs, particularly medicine for diabetes, it would take the cap off of that $35 cap, and those providers would be able to charge you what they want to provide you. Anytime you hear the government talk about tax cuts and giving tax breaks to the wealthy, that simply means that we all of us that are not in that category pay more. I always understand that every time there's a tax cut, the money is taken from somewhere. Project 2025 also looks to restructure Social Security. To be very succinct, now you can kind of get all of your benefits at 67. If this comes forth, you'll have to work to at least your 70. When it comes to education, I could just go off a deep end about the horrific things that will happen in education, from the fact that parents will choose principals for schools, school districts that get rid of tenured teachers will be incentivized, Title I funding for low-income students will go to the state, and we'll get to decide at the state whether we even want to participate in federal programs or not. And we can just take the money and do stuff like we do now, like give Carnival Cruise Line bigger tax breaks instead of funding our school system. This is a very, very serious policy, and we all could do something about it. When you have government making this type of overreach, it is just unconscionable. We have a democracy, we have a system in place that keeps checks and balances. So anytime any branch of government is looking for more power and more authority, what that's actually doing is minimizing your voice and your voting power. When you see the president wanting to be in control of the Department of Justice and the FBI, well, we can understand with a certain candidate, if you have 34 convictions, you certainly want to be able to control those departments. And when we understand that DEI does not only impact Black people. When we think about diversity, equity, and inclusion, especially when it comes to small and minority business, a lot of those are white women. So as we talk about Project 2025, we have to talk about it in a way to understand that it is the sum of us all. What impacts one of us impacts all of us. And I am going to continue to educate. Hopefully you've been seeing my post on social media, my talks. I'm just committed to educating the community and staying focused on the issues so that we don't have to react, so that we can proactively vote and use our voice. And I will tell you, I've been doing a lot of relational voting contact, working with Faith in Florida in the NAACP. And I'm really disturbed at how lackadaisical we are about this voting. If you don't plan to vote by mail, please don't wait to the last minute to voting day. Because if you like me and you live in the city of Fort Lauderdale and it rains and you get flooded out, you're not going to be able to get to the polls. This is not a time where we can sit on the bench. There's no candidate that we're going to agree with everything that that candidate wants, but we have to get out to vote. And I am proud to wear this voting pin with this nice pink and green thing on the inside of it at this moment and this time, because I never could imagine in my lifetime that we would have an opportunity where we would actually have access and an opportunity for a woman of color to even be considered as president of these United States of America. So our kids need us to vote. We always want to hold the kids accountable, but when we don't vote, we're not being accountable. And you know, Marcia, you started talking about being in this church and using appropriate language, and I start thinking today about one of the greatest prophets that we don't mention in the Bible, and I know a lot of older people probably are not familiar with this prophet, but since I'm a young person, and this prophet told us many years ago, unfortunately he was assassinated, because that's what happens sometimes when you speak truth to power, but he told us something that is resonating in my spirit right now. Representative Campbell, you'll appreciate this, and I'll just say that this is where I am in my heart at this moment in time right now. Sick and tired of the isn't, skids, and games, y'all. Trying to go to heaven in the Jesus name, y'all. We all know when we understand a mighty God is a living man. You can fool some people sometimes, but you can't fool all the people all the time. Now you see the light. Stand up for your right.
And Pastor Trey, as you come forth, I want to make sure that we all know that it's time to vote. That so many of us, check with your families. They plan on voting in November. They think that these folk gonna be on there, then it is ridiculous. Stuff that we don't know. And if your people haven't voted since Obama, they need to register and vote again. Those of us who are registering people to vote, make sure that when you ask additional questions, when you say, are you registered to vote? Ask them when the last time they voted, because some of us ain't voted since Obama. And so we, with the regime that's currently in, they've done all that they could to make sure that we are not able to vote. There were tens of thousands of particularly Black folks who've been moved to the inactive roster. Please note, if you are inactive, you are still eligible to vote. But we ask that you, and I know that the pastors are doing it in the Black churches, many of them, are giving the information on their church announcements. But I bet you it's somebody that everybody got somebody, that one person that they know, and if you don't know nobody, it's probably you, that don't vote in every election or like you're supposed to. So this is like, oh, so important. Primaries are so important. And so we need to make sure that we cast our vote for the candidate of our choice. You can talk to these ladies and gentlemen as you walk out to make sure that if it's something you're not clear on, please do. But I know that Mark Johnson and Mrs. Johnson are going to go back and talk to the Sigmas and the Zetas. I know that judges, the candidate, Woody, is going to talk to the Qs. I know that Campbell and the other Newt that's over there is going to be up in there talking to, certainly talk to, I know that you all have already gotten your marching orders. I know that the Alphas and the AKAs and the Deltas, I know for a fact, have already gotten their marching orders to make sure that we are eligible, that we make sure that we're eligible to vote, and that we cast our ballot for the candidate of our choice. But we talk a lot about the general. We need you to go and vote in the primary. The judges, all but maybe one or two of them, are on the ballot now, and so we need you to vote now. Tell your folk that they need to vote now. Now, if they call our office, I can't tell anybody, and I would not insult you by telling you who to vote for. However, if you ask me what my personal choice was, and I'm speaking as myself, I would be able to do that based on what you have done or what you have not done in the community. The NAACP supports diversity on the bench, and I know that the other partner organizations are as well. These people are about a lot of things here in Broward County, and so we want to make sure that we support diversity on the bench, and we support certainly voting. You know, we didn't go and vote in 2018, and we lost control of the Florida Supreme Court. We let previous president get in, we lost control of the U.S. Supreme Court. We're not getting black judges appointed here in Broward County and throughout the Florida unless you are a Federalist. If you want to stop it, if you're really sick and tired, then let's make sure that we go and cast the ballot for the candidate of our choice. Make sure that you know who these people are. And if they're not able to tell you how they're going to help you or work with you, then maybe they don't deserve your vote. And if they didn't come to ask you for your vote, I don't ask for nobody who don't ask me for my vote, then maybe they don't want it. Just saying. We are nonpartisan here, Doc. I understand that. We just talking about what we're talking about. We certainly care about our life members, and the newly minted person who will be seeking or who has gained the nomination to run is a life member of the NAACP. Both the current president and the current vice president are life members of the NAACP. Membership has its privileges, Pastor Trey, just saying, just talking about what we're talking about. And with that, if you have not joined the NAACP, please make sure that you do that. You can reach us at our office on Sistrunk, very easy to reach on our website, naacpftlbroward.com. We have a reception for the superintendent that's happening on the 8th at Old Dillard Museum. I can tell you that it's already started for the brother that's in there who is more than qualified, who is about all of the people that are in this community, certainly the children and the families, but it's already started. And so we got to make sure that he has a base that will be willing to stand with him as he continues to do the business to make sure all of our children are educated and receive a free, high-quality education here in Broward County. At the school system, Dr. Hepburn is for real. He hasn't forgotten growing up in Belglades. He is the real deal. And so we owe him an opportunity to be successful, and he has more than earned our support in the short time that he has been here. I can assure you that if you ever believe anything I say, believe that, because we've had a number of meetings, and he is certainly about the business of all of the community, including the black and the brown ones. And so with that, if you will close us out, Pastor Trey, and we want to thank you again for you're always opening your doors. It's at the Old Dillard Museum on the 8th from 6 to 8:30 p.m. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Let us all stand as we prepare to leave this place and never the presence of God. Once again, let's thank all the candidates for coming to share their platform with us tonight. From a very realistic and very spiritual place, I say that God never loved the people so much that he allowed them not to perish for a lack of knowledge. So your being here tonight is very important. Your sharing with us via the internet is very important. And we ask that we continue these discussions so that we can pick the meat from the bone and understand truly what lies in store for us. Let us pray. Father God, we ask for your love, for your care, for your vision and for your guidance, for us leaving this place. Never let us leave your presence, but allow us to make it to our desired destination tonight safely on the dangerous highways and byways. Bless us as we go to this season of elections. Let us get our friends, family, cousins, play cousins, people who we answer the phone for, people who we don't answer the phone for. Let us get them all to the polls so that their voices may be heard and we can make an indelible change in our community. Thank you for what our ears have heard and our eyes have seen, and bless us all. In the name of our God, in the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen.